Hey, what is going on, everybody? ChazmaN here, and we're back again with another episode of the ChazmaN podcast, where, as always, this is your favorite place for the crazy, earth-shattering Zelda news, right? We're the number one Zelda channel.
Can we watch you play instead?
Oh yeah,
no.
Phoenix enjoyed seeing me trying to get my little plane to take flight.
So I decided to watch his opening stream. Was it the opening one? I think so.
I think so, yeah.
At the end, he's trying to figure out how to make the wing work.
I wanted it to fly so bad.
Oh my goodness. So he's trying to drop it off stuff. He's putting the fans all over it. He's not putting it on the rail right in front of him that would launch the thing. He must have spent like an hour and a half dying.
Is that what that? Oh. There's a rail. I saw the rail, but I didn't.
But you never figured it out.
It's right in front.
Yeah, if you want to if you're like self-deprecating, you want a very painful experience, watch Chaz play any of the Legend of Zelda games. It is it's a process. It'll make you feel much better about your gaming capabilities. But
no,
It's so bad.
There's so much entertainment value.
oh well, yeah, for a time until your soul slowly starts eating away at you. No, don't give me a hard time.
Real quick, just on screen, there's some audio locations if you guys would like to check us out there. And as always in the socials, feel free to reach out at ChazmaN. You know, we'd love to get any questions or, any topics or anything, suggestions you guys might have. We'd love to hear them. So real quick, just how have you guys been since the last episode, since our Zelda Spectacular?
Tired?
You're tired, man. Running on very minimal hours of sleep. I'm playing too much Tears of the Kingdom, but
I haven't
really
played as
functioning
much.
adult with only a couple of hours. So
Just the
I
exact.
haven't played as much, but I'm getting in there.
How many
That'll
hours
go
are
to
you
the
guys in right now?
oh man, I'm not sure. I think I probably put in the most time.
Yeah.
Out of you
most likely.
guys, I'm past the first dungeon. I've been exploring a while. I'm gonna say 15 to 20 hours, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So I've been just exploring.
Yeah.
I did the dungeon because, Phoenix just said, "Hey, you should do it after this." Or I'm like, okay. So I finally beelined it over, and instead of getting sidetracked.
Yeah, games like this and Skyrim and stuff, I'm sure I'm not the only one that plays like this, but I don't like to go straight towards the main thing. I just choose a direction, whatever seems prettiest on the horizon. I'm just like there. I'm going there, and then I
I
spread
didn't
out.
beat the game until last week. I'm just saying.
Oh, Breath of the Wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
Easy to get distracted. I'm the kind of guy who likes to at least like the first main thing, just because usually that first whatever it is gives you something kind of like fundamental to get through the game. And I feel like they kind of do that in this game too, to a certain extent. I mean, not as much, but it's worth, I think, going through the first Rito dungeon if you get that far before going way too off on your own. But
I'm sure
either way.
somebody early on was able to get off of the first sky platform and get onto the ground before even doing anything.
The game in like what, an hour and a half or something?
Yeah,
like,
something crazy.
This game's broken all to pieces, man.
Mm-hmm. All right, real quick, just to touch on what we're going to be talking about today. Well, we don't have much to say for for what you've been playing, but we will be talking about Zelda. We do have something we kind of pulled out last second for our highlights from the Horde. We have a ton of speedrun topics, and then we'll be touching on Zelda. You guys want to touch on that last? I think that's what we decided to do.
Yeah.
Because we normally talk on our games first. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, this is a special. This is a Zelda release week, so we'll give that the prime billing spot for at least this podcast, and honestly, probably for the next like 3. So,
so where should we start? Do you want to start with Phoenix getting to talk about your fantastical high score that you're sitting pretty on right now with Zelda?
Oh yeah, was it 96 that we're sitting at for Metacritic?
That's pretty good.
Yeah, let's see. I have
that's awesome compared to
96.
your
Yep, as of today.
So what does that technically put me at? Like a 48 or something for both those games if I balance them out? No, a little more than 49. I don't know. Either way, that's great, but it's not going to help me too much. I've lost this competition, so unless one of you like completely bombs out and gets a 10, I'm probably out of luck. But
I haven't gotten anything yet, so I'm just expecting a couple of things down the line. But
as long as you don't have anything that gets delayed, you're in pretty good shape.
Well,
I mean, don't get me wrong.
I don't know. So you've got not one of your games are out yet. Yeah, Diablo,
Nope.
Eddie Final Fantasy, Armored Core.
Oh, that's
Well,
all
they're
next
all
month.
about to pop up real quick, right? Like Final Fantasy
yeah.
is about to come out,
Armored
Diablo
Core,
4,
Diablo.
Armored Core. I mean, I guess Final Fantasy Rebirth is the only one that might be shaky, but it sounds like they're pretty firm on it. I don't know. I feel like you've got a better bet than I had. I mean, Suicide Squad messed me up pretty bad. So
Poor
And then
buddy.
back to me. I think all I have is Hogwarts Legacy. I've still got Spider-Man, Hades, Starfield, Hollow Knight.
they just did an announcement about Hollow Knight. Because I think it was supposed to come out like quarter 1 or second quarter of 2023, and they did say it was going to come out a little bit later this year. So
You
it got
know,
a bit of a delay.
you know where there would be a good place to talk about that at? This what is this? This Xbox event next month, or is it that? Yeah, that's next month. That'd be an excellent place to talk about that game. Talk about any
Hollow
game,
Knight,
any something
well,
Xbox people are
but is
working
Hollow
on.
Knight Xbox exclusive?
No, but it got
I know they're kind of having the primary marketing on it,
the
but
primary marketing, and it was introduced, I think, at an Xbox event, like the last showcase, I think.
well, Xbox could use a W. And I guess they kind of got one this week. We'll get into that in just a little bit, but either way, yeah. I mean, I'm happy that Zelda's high, but I think that was going to be a given. Like, I couldn't imagine this game have been any lower than like a 90 something. So it's about where I expected it. Not going to save me, unfortunately, but good score. I think it's at least so far from what I played, it's a warranted score. So we'll kind of dig into that in a little bit, but good on Nintendo. They put out another good one.
Yeah. The user score is pretty high. 8.7 seems that's unusually high, right, for the user. I feel like the user is normally much more critical.
Go back to the critics really quick. Last I checked, it was still like what, one mixed review. Everything else was positive. Is that still the split?
Right here,
Should
you
say
mean?
somewhere on
Critic
there.
reviews.
Yeah, somewhere it will say like how the breakdown is.
Oh, on here? I don't know. I don't
Yeah, it
generally
usually says like how many reviews. Hold on, I pulled the link.
says
Get
97
it?
critic
A
reviews.
link?
Oh, if I click here, it'll take me to the critic reviews.
Over there on the right, it has that breakdown slider.
So 461 negative, 3707 positive.
Well, that's user score. You need to
Oh,
find the
shoot.
critic one.
I don't really see a bar graph or anything for that.
I see a big.
It's
I
on
see
the
a
very
big
first
fat
page,
zero.
Jess.
On the very
It's 95 critic reviews, all positive, 2 mixed, 0 negative. Right?
Oh,
There,
I
top
see. I
left.
see. Okay.
One was a 60. It was like a yellow.
Yeah.
Oh, and one's a 70. Why buy though? And then Gfinity. Wait, what?
I didn't read the whole Gfinity review. I did read the little blurb they had there, Metacritic. I kind of agree with some of it. We'll talk about it. I mean, I wouldn't have given it a 60 by any means, but
They said there's
there's some warrant to that.
too much air or too much water.
Too much air. Yeah. Well, no, they have some keen comments on the dungeons and how they're set up, and I think there's some relevancy there that we can talk about.
I think they're disappointed you don't actually play as Zelda. You play as some other
I'm sure
character.
that's it. I'm sure that's it. I am glad to see there was some mixed reviews. Like, everybody just throwing 10s at the game. I don't know. I never liked that. Not that I'm saying it isn't a 10, but a lot of times people get caught up in the bias and the hype and all of that, and they overlook a lot. And don't get me wrong, this is a fantastic game. But I don't know. I could definitely see how people would take an opposite stance about some things. Be like, well, it's a good game, but it's not my favorite game, and may not be a 10 in people's eyes. So I'm glad to see there's at least some mixed reactions. I wouldn't have agreed if there were a bunch of negative reactions. I can't think there's much negative in this game thus far, but mixed reactions, good to see.
And even if there was, I feel like we're entirely too early to have any, like, at least I feel like I'm entirely too early.
Well, I mean, the critics hopefully shouldn't be. They've been playing the game a fair amount longer than us, but at the same
fair
time,
enough.
but I know too they had to rush through it. I don't
Unless
know when
you're
they got review
Kotaku.
codes, but yeah. Oh, Kotaku. Right. So either way, that's where I'm standing as far as the Olympics. I'm not winning. I'm not gonna win, but I guess now it's just to kind of see who's gonna take the lead here in a little bit. I'm kind of feeling Serrano is gonna be kind of the hidden gem in these scores. I don't know. You got a lot of good games sitting there that I think might eke through with some high 80s, low 90s at the worst.
Well, because big for me, I think, is September, because isn't Spider-Man September? Is Hades September? Or no, Starfield September as well?
It's the end of the year, yeah. I think Starfield's the one that's gonna be iffy on you. I don't know. I don't see Starfield being in the 90s. I just don't.
I don't. I don't. It might be high 80s, maybe.
Yeah,
hopefully.
I think, best expectation somewhere in the 80s, and I think that's fair. It doesn't mean it's going to be a bad game or whatnot, but come on, it's a Bethesda game, man. Like, it's going to have some issues. We've already seen, like, the frame rate issues they had in some early previews. I mean, maybe it's resolved now, but I don't know. I just don't have a lot of confidence they're going to release, like, a crazy polished game. Like, look at Zelda. Zelda, for all intents and purposes, super polished, super buttoned up. Like, the vision is fully intact. Whereas the Bethesda games, as of late, haven't quite hit that mark, right? Fun games, you can do a lot of great stuff in them, but there's some wonkiness to them. So I'm expecting somewhere in the 80s.
Redfall met all expectations.
Oh boy.
Oh man.
Let's move on.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
Okay, so did you guys want to move into our highlights, or did you want to move into the speed run next? Because highlights would kind of give away one of our. I'd say we do highlights. I feel like that might be fun to jump into.
You're the boss.
You're the boss.
I am the boss. A boss.
Don't get used to it. Don't get used to it.
All right, so I say we move into highlights. I feel like that might be fun. So, we're moving on to now our highlights for the Horde topic, where we, I don't know, kind of choose some items from our nerdy collections or, just the stuff we've been... Our hordes collecting for many, many moons. This will kind of lead into one of our speedrun topics, but we felt like it might be kind of fun this week to show some Mortal Kombat oriented things. Do you guys both have Mortal Kombat oriented items, right?
I do.
Cool. I do.
Good. Who wants to go first?
Go ahead, Phoenix. You go first. Yeah.
Okay. I feel like I got probably the least exciting thing. So these are, I think these came with, it was Mortal Kombat 9 technically, right? It's the bookends and the collector's edition.
Those are cool.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Found these at Goodwill.
I was just going to say that's a good one.
Nice.
$12.99.
Oh, that's beautiful. I paid full price for mine.
They were just sitting in a little yellow bin. I walked by, I'm like, oh, that looks familiar. Yanked them out.
Yeah, buddy.
They're in pretty good shape. Yeah, they sit out holding my PC games together. So
You're lucky it still has a spear in front.
So I've broken this off 3 times. I keep gluing it back on. It's really easy to knock and just flings right off. But, a little bit of, super glue. That's just fine. But, yeah, I thought these were pretty neat. They're pretty detailed. I mean...
They're very nice.
Yeah. And honestly, this is what kind of got me back into Mortal Kombat for a while. I was never huge on it as a kid. I think my mother definitely had the issue with the extreme gore back in the mid-90s.
It's just tomato juice.
When they revitalized it, like the reboot technically is what 9 was, I got into it pretty hard for a little bit. Granted, when I say that, I was just the spammer. I was the noob Cybot guy the whole time, but
I was competing for a while.
Hold on.
I was like on there doing the online stuff.
Hold on to that word reboot. That'll come back around, I'm sure. But yeah, I agree. Mortal Kombat 9 was definitely one that I felt like I went pretty hardcore into. Not like super, but it definitely, I didn't play, I don't think I got very far into 10. I played some of 11. I definitely think
10 or 11.
I played the campaign of 11, and it was fun.
I don't play for the campaigns. I play for all the brutalities and the fatalities. That's all I care about.
Yeah, the campaign was actually surprisingly good for 11. I enjoyed it. Oh, you want to go up, Metal Gamer?
Yeah, I got a few things actually. Let's see. Not really. I just like Mortal Kombat. I got those same bookends though.
Yeah.
And let's see. I guess for starters, I got this happy bad boy. I've had this thing forever.
I don't have the box. I just have a loose copy.
Yeah, this is my original copy. It doesn't have the book in it, but it definitely holds up. So
Chaz, were you with me at Salvation Army when I came across all 3 of the first ones in boxes?
Man,
I think so. That. Yeah.
Yeah, I got them all for like $3 or $4 a pop.
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Back when you could find things at Salvation Army.
Ooh, what's that thing?
This is the Art of Mortal Kombat.
Oh,
so nice. This one, I believe. This came with my 9
That's
actually.
9,
when
yeah.
I pre-ordered it. So if you would have gotten the bookends, you would have gotten this too.
Oh, they didn't
So
have
this
that in the
game-
Goodwill bin.
This came with a whole bunch of extra
Ooh.
codes. So obviously redeemed because, you know, I'm going to play it.
'Cause you're a cool
And
kid.
then, yeah, look, this one's cool. This one's all embossed and pretty. So this one's really nice. It has all the cool, the 3D models and stuff, like what stuff they were using. So it was pretty neat. So all the cell shaded, or not the cell shaded, untextured
Yeah.
models, freaking boss.
Is
And
what was that guy? Was his name Meat? Is Meat in there? You don't remember Meat?
Me?
No, Meat in the. Gosh, I feel like in one of the PS2 Mortal Kombat games, there was a character. I think his name was Meat, and he was just a body. He was a fighting character. He was just like a piece of meat.
I have to
that at
see
all.
that. And last but not least, you know, because the 9, I ended up getting 10, so I got this guy. So this is pretty. This one, he looks like he's like standing in a pose. Ooh, yeah, buddy. Came with the game and everything, so it's pretty neat. So it was done by Course, which is a really cool thing, and it looks awesome. It has like a matte finish to it, and the gold is like kind of shiny, like kind of like shimmers. It's really nice. It's so constructed well.
Yeah.
So I don't regret getting it at all. I think that thing cost me like 150.
There
Jeez.
you
Yeah.
go. You guys can see Meat,
Good stuff.
the story of Meat.
Of course.
Oh,
Oh, here's an Armageddon.
Yeah, he's
And-
Armageddon.
and we never saw him again.
Nope, that was definitely one of those like throwaway characters.
Yeah.
Speaking of throwaway characters, your turn, Chaz.
Oh, that's not cool.
Yeah. Right.
On my own show. No.
You're not
Um,
cool.
Real quick, yeah. So I just chose 3 things that are super important to me. Things not exactly these copies, but I used to watch these all the time as a kid. Of course, we have my VHS copy of the original Mortal Kombat.
Nice.
One of
It's a collector's edition. They missed out on that. So it should have been a K.
one of the greatest movies of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Has it? This is the one. I know a lot of people say that one hasn't aged well. This one really hasn't aged well, in my opinion. VHS copy of Annihilation.
But it had a great soundtrack.
They both had great
Destroy all
soundtracks.
expectations.
I think the soundtrack is better in 2.
No, soundtrack.
Gosh.
Was it Halcyon On and On? That's such a great song.
They had Fire on 2. Like, no. Annihilation. All about that.
And then this was not very good, but I loved it as a kid. This was leading up to the movie. They released this, and it's like the worst CG. It's like the earliest CGI you can imagine used to make a cartoon.
Is it like Virtual Fighter reboot?
It's like Virtual Fighter, but it was like a
Oh my god.
It had like terrible Virtual Fighter graphics, animations, and it also had like drawn animations. So
I want to watch it.
spoilers. I've been wanting to do a video on my channel just talking about this at some point. It's awful and good, I guess. But yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That looks funny.
I think it was like promotional material leading up to the movie, and I'm probably the only person in Florida who has a copy of that.
I want to see it. You know how hard that doesn't seem like something you could just find.
I think it's on
It's gotta
YouTube.
be
It's on
ripped
YouTube.
somewhere.
Yeah.
It's got to be somewhere.
Yeah, on
I'm
YouTube.
trying to look for it.
YouTube, I think you can watch the full thing.
Huh.
It is like the CGI is like bafflingly bad. It's like, what's that 90s? Is it Lawnmower Man? Is that 80s? Whatever that.
Well, I mean, in 1990, the CG wasn't great.
Was it
Like,
90?
I mean, even you know, I mean, I might get some flack for this, but even like, you know, you watch Toy Story now, and you're just like, man, Toy Story 4 looks amazing.
I haven't seen that in
yeah.
forever. I'm afraid
Yeah, it's
to.
like really, you could see the thingies. Like, there's a lot of things going on, and you're just like, oh boy. And that was the best of its time.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
How far we've come.
Oh yeah.
Alrighty, well, yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. We showed off some super dumb things that I don't know why we have. At least on my behalf, I should say. Yeah, so we're going to move on to speedrun news. So, like I said before, we have a pretty wide breadth of topics here, so we'll try and blast through as many as we can. I still have yet to put our high score up on screen. I will at some point. We're at 5. 5 is our most topics that we've kind of blasted through.
How many do we have listed that we need to try to get to? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we could get a record tonight.
We'll see. All right, here we go. I'm about to hit start. Here we go. All right, we're going. So for topic number 1, this is kind of a twofer, but I figured it would be kind of interesting to bring up to you guys.
Hold on, wait, before you get into that one. Why don't we, can I only see it listed here, why don't we talk about the Mortal Kombat one since we just came off it?
Oh, yeah, sure. I'll play it right here for you guys. But yeah, they released a trailer for the official next Mortal Kombat game. It is not Mortal Kombat 12. NetherRealm says it is going to be called or I should probably play it on screen for you. It is going to be called Mortal Kombat 1. So from what I understand, it looks like they're rebooting the series. What do you? I guess kind of. It looks like they're going the route of Liu Kang, kind of being evil Liu Kang, evil Superman.
I'm really disappointed how PG this trailer was, though.
It is. Oh, come on.
Okay. This was like like Mortal Kombat is gory.
This is really
like
look at that slice of life going on.
So gross. Like at least in like other Mortal Kombats, when they got to gore, it was like kind of cartoony-ish, like silly. This is just
This is enjoyable. Look at that. This is what got me into Mortal Kombat 9 when I saw the bone smashing nonsense. This is great.
Oh man.
Oh man, this is gonna be fantastic. Oh no,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
no,
have
it's
to get
gonna
some
be
collector's edition for that too. Jeez. There goes my goodbye money.
Collector's edition comes with a ripped out organ.
a ripped out heart, yeah.
And then
Like,
they show Melina.
No, you get her teeth, like, you know, like you can put it in your mouth.
Well, I was gonna say a lot of people were surprised that they showed Melina this early. Apparently, I don't know why. Apparently, she's been a character they've left out of the last game, I think.
Well, it seems like they're doing like a lot of rewriting of origin and character stuff here, which hey, I'm all for. It looks good. I mean, I don't know what the gameplay is going to look like, so hopefully one of these showcases coming up will show it. But I mean, just conceptually, looks good. But it's a fighting game, so it really has to come down to the fighting mechanics. Not that I think you have anything to be too worried about.
Well, it's supposed to be kind of a reboot, but if you play Mortal Kombat 11,
I mean, it's pretty solid though.
The campaign from MK11 kind of led to Liu Kang being evil, so it's like. So it's like, is this a reboot? If it kind of branches off, I don't know. I don't even know if it officially branches off. That's just what I'm saying.
I think in 10, doesn't Raiden become evil in 10?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember him like being like real dark and stuff.
Which I think he is in 11 as well.
They're really going that route, huh? Where everything just takes over, pretty much.
They're doing what DC can't with Superman.
Be better.
All right, but yeah.
So excited? Yeah.
I'm excited, yeah.
They didn't give an announce date, did they? Or release date?
Don't believe... Oh, no, they did. They said later this year.
Did they really?
It's later... I think it's...
not like a date, though. Just like...
They said September, I think.
Did they? Okay.
That's exciting.
I think so.
That's exciting. I love Mortal Kombat games, man. Like, they're so much fun.
I like games, too, that announce within relatively short windows of them coming out. So now we don't have like a year and a half to get hype about this. Like Street Fighter or whatever number they're on now, I feel like has been hyped up for like over a year now, and I'm just tired of hearing about it. So it's kind of nice that this game just kind of gets dropped, even though they had early leaks, quote unquote, about a while ago. But it gets dropped out of nowhere, and then you have a couple of months to wait, and then it's here. So I think that's nice.
That's gonna be interesting.
Hopefully, it's better than the movie. The movie was
impossible.
The newest movie, I was not super blown away by.
Yeah, it was fun.
Ooh, look at that. That's so pretty. I'm on their website right now. Freaking boss, man. I totally want it. Let me see what the exclusives are. Yeah.
I better move on for Metal gets sucked into the collector's edition pre-order.
Okay, so yeah, moving on, we're gonna touch on, like I was saying, Tears of the Kingdom. This was just kind of showing that the game has been selling incredibly well. Basically, the game has sold 10 million copies in just the 3 days after it launched on May 12th.
Marketing.
It says this stacks among the Switch's best games. Breath of the Wild in its 6-year lifetime sold 30 million copies, and Mario Kart sold 53 million.
No, Mario Kart's just like way, way up there, but still 10 million, 3 days. That's wild.
Yeah. That is freaking nuts.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. That's pretty impressive. And then just kind of a second parter to that, I also had apparently the creators of Zelda, Aonuma and Fujibayashi, who is the director, they've essentially been talking about possibly with the Mario movie success of they want to do a Zelda movie, kind of. They're like lightly touching on the subject where it says as of Aonuma, he said, I have to say I'm interested for sure, but it's not just me being interested in something that makes things happen, unfortunately, Aonuma said. And Fujibayashi basically kind of just said, well, whatever the fans want, we'll think about.
See, I think it's going to be so much harder to do a Zelda movie than a Mario movie. Like, Zelda is, I mean, he's a silent protagonist for the most part, besides his grunts and yas. Like, how do you make a movie around it? Like, people are already upset that, you know, Chris Pratt has had a different voice for Mario. How is the internet going to agree on what Link should sound like?
You get Chris Pratt again.
Have it play Zelda.
That's the answer for everything. Chris Pratt voices every character.
Or like Owen Wilson. Owen Wilson's blonde or whatever.
Pulls out the Master Sword.
Oh my god. You just see his nose.
Yeah, Ganon shows up and he's like, wow.
Oh my god.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not opposed to it, but I think that's going to be just trickier. I also don't know if I would want to see that animated or if that would be almost better live action. Like, I don't know. It really depends on what route they go with that. Because, like, there's so many different tones to take Zelda. Like, it could be very dark. It could be very cartoony. It could be somewhere in between. Mario is just always kind of bright and happy. So that was an easy thing to transition into cartoon.
You know who I would want to play Zelda? Like, seriously? I guess if they were to choose somebody, I kind of liked Timothée Chalamet in the newest Dune movie. I mean, he was kind of a very...
Did you say as Zelda?
Yeah. No, as Link. I meant... Did I say Zelda?
As Zelda.
Oh.
Like, I was trying to picture like...
Yeah, just do that.
Get chewed
Trying to see that.
He was very quiet in Dune, so that's the only reason why I'm like...
Yeah, oh, that's just going to be a tricky one to sell.
Plus, he's a younger actor.
That's tricky.
All right. Okay, yep, so moving on. Yeah, recently the EU approved Microsoft's purchase of Activision Blizzard. This is coming off of the heels of, what was it, the CMA, which is the British, I guess, part of the approval process. Because I think you have to have 3 in order for, like, a major acquisition tech, I guess, giant to kind of purchase another one. You have to have the CMA, the... what is it? The CMA, the EU, and the FTC. Yeah, and basically the FTC, from what I understand, is they're currently going through a process of was it an appeal, right? Microsoft's appealing the FTC's, or no, they're suing. Somebody's suing.
Yeah, they were trying to sue them. Like, yeah, that one's a little muddy. I don't know. I don't know which way the FTC is going to lean on this. I mean, this is definitely good news for Microsoft. They needed some kind of W, so. I don't know if this is going to overwrite the CMA's decision, or maybe, you know, shift it anyway when it comes to the appeals. I don't know. It's still not a done deal, but man, I'm getting tired of hearing the back and forth on this. Like, I knew it'd take a while, but I didn't expect this back and forth, especially at the last minute.
With the lawsuit and all this appealing process, it's probably going to be another 2 years, year and a half, 2 years before anything.
If they have to go through appeals, yeah. And then is it worth it? I mean, I don't know, because there's going to be a lot that they're going to have to dump into just to appeal it and fight it. They have lost revenue through the whole thing for both them and Activision. And then if they lose, they owe Activision, like, what, $3 billion anyway? I mean, Microsoft still has more money under the sun than anybody else, so it's not like it really matters for them.
And if you're Microsoft, there has to come a point where, like, what's its sunken cost? It's like where you put in enough resources and time and effort where it's just like, you know, dropping it's really hard.
Yeah, but you got to think it's versus whatever they've dumped into it, which is, I don't know, $100 million. I have no idea. I'm just throwing a number out there. Compared to the, what, 70 billion? So clearly they've got a ways to go before they have an issue balancing that out. They want this acquisition, so I'm sure they're in this for a relatively long
I
haul.
totally forgot to bring it up, but luckily it just hit my head. Did you see Satya Nadella's comments on this acquisition? I think he's the CEO of Microsoft.
I don't remember reading anything about the EU portion. I remember when the CMA had their thing.
Well, recently someone asked him whether Microsoft would be looking into doing anything to, I don't know, I guess, in a way to attack the UK's decision. And a lot of people were like kind of surprised by his answer, where he just said, "We're gonna wait and see." Where it's like, what does that mean? Are you gonna like?
Well, they're waiting to see what the EU does. If that, puts any kind of pressure on the FTC, like that changes.
But a lot of people. But I think the question had something to do with: are you gonna pull like video games from the UK? Are you gonna attack them via stop selling products in the UK? Like, I think that's the way the question was worded. But
I think it's too soon to say. I mean, until they go through the appeal process, I don't think they're going to be firm on what course of action they're going to take. But,
well, as always, this is this is the most accurate and best place to hear this information on the ChazmaN podcast.
Sure.
There is no better source. Jason Schreier, get out of here.
All right, moving on.
All right, moving on. Real quick, a PlayStation event just got announced that is slated for Wednesday, May 24th. I don't know what time it is. It says 1 p.m. Pacific time. I don't know what that translates to here.
There were 1, 2, 3, 4.
4
p.m.?
I was thinking like 4 or 5 p.m., yeah. But, yeah.
1?
Yeah, 1 p.m. Pacific. So anything crazy you guys want to see? I mean, I know Spider-Man, anything new on
Spider-Man.
Mortal Kombat. I would like to see some gameplay.
I wouldn't. I mean, I'm trying to think if they're gonna.
I wouldn't bet on that just because they just released that information like yesterday.
Yeah.
Well, they could. I mean, I wouldn't
might have
surprise me if they did. I just don't know if PlayStation's gonna get primary billing for like the marketing aspect of Mortal Kombat. Maybe I don't know. I know they had Street Fighter kind of in their wheelhouse for a long time. I don't know if they're gonna switch and try to get Mortal Kombat. I think Spider-Man's gonna be the big push, right? Because that, to my knowledge, is their big fall kind of blockbuster. Like, what else do they really have in the works beyond Spider-Man? I mean, Wolverine one day, but
Wolverine someday,
ways
yeah.
out there.
I think that's.
We're not gonna see a God of War. I don't know what other. I mean, they have a lot of IPs, but I'm trying to think which one we either know anything about.
Ratchet and Clank is
or
still
would like
relatively new. Actually, that is. I just mentioned Ratchet and Clank just got added to the premium. Gosh, I want to play that. I gotta wait though. I'm playing 2 games right now. No.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to see Spider-Man. I'm pretty hyped for that one. I mean, both the last Spider-Man games were excellent, so I'm sure 2 is going to be just as good. Plus, Venom's going to be in it, so good times.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many games coming out. Like, there's a lot of games coming out.
This
I
year.
would hope that this showcase though will really focus on some first-party stuff. I'm hoping it's not a bunch of like just third-party. Like, I guess technically they could show Final Fantasy 16 again, which I don't think anybody needs to see that anymore.
Wasn't the previous one like VR heavy or something? I remember
they had a VR focused one when the VR 2 got announced however long ago. But, I don't know.
All right, so real quick, moving on to the next one. And I really wanted to touch on this one with you guys, seeing as how we're all Back to the Future for fans. But recently, via via Variety, someone talked with Christopher Lloyd, and he said something to the avail of he would love to be a part and help create a sequel, but he said he doesn't think Robert Zemeckis and Steven Spielberg would be up for it at all. So, leading into
Michael J. Fox didn't seem like he was up for it either. He's like,
and
he looks like he's kind of like done.
Yeah, Michael J. Fox basically said something that he's like, I made all my money and had a lot of fun doing it. That's behind me. So,
and Christopher Lloyd honestly doesn't need to be in like anything else. He's 84. 84. I mean, God bless the guy for still doing stuff. But I saw him at a MegaCon like
I was just gonna say we saw him at MegaCon
5, 6, 7 years ago, and he was sketchy
rough.
then.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine him doing a whole another movie. I don't know, and that maybe I'm just looking at it the wrong way, but I personally, and I love Back to the Future, hands down, favorite movie, probably favorite trilogy, just period. There's nothing more they need to do there. Like, what would they do? Like, I don't know. The performances were great. They still hold up. I mean, the effects are rough, but honestly, I think that's kind of the charm. I mean, that'd be the only thing, arguably, I think you probably could try to improve on, but you're not going to get better casting. Like, there's no way to outdo those performances, so you can't reboot. And what would a 4 even look like? I think both of them, Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd, for better or for worse, they're going to be rough doing another movie. Not that I wouldn't respect the heck out of it, but I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it.
I mean, maybe if they do like a cameo, I mean, that'd be okay. But then it's like, at the same time, it's like, man, the cameo better be small, or else he's probably gonna have a heart attack.
So then what? It's a whole reboot. I don't want or need a reboot Back to the Future. Not saying that Hollywood wouldn't do it. And as soon as Zemeckis kicks the bucket, I'm sure someone in Hollywood's gonna be like, all right, rights are up, let's go do it. But I'm not looking forward to that day. Like, I know people argue about this all the time, and maybe just because now it's infringing on one of my personal favorite IPs that I'm a little more, up in arms about it. But I can't think of any reason to redo, reboot, or add to what they did. Like, that's like, to me, as close to almost a perfect trilogy as you get. I know, okay, money, yes, but even then, I don't think it's gonna be super lucrative for them. I mean, I say that, but I'm sure, nostalgic bums like me will probably buy into it. But
I mean, I was just gonna say, like, do people still really care about Back to the Future? But I mean, they're still milking
probably
Ghostbusters,
not.
So it's like,
I guess that's true. That's probably the closest analogy you have, and I think they had some success with the most recent reboot.
Not 2016.
No, I think the most recent one where they got a lot of the cast
Paul
back
Rudd or whatever. I didn't even see that one.
Yeah, I didn't see it either. I don't know. I just don't feel like it's necessary. And like with Ghostbusters, I think you have a lot more you could play with there. But Back to the Future was very much about Marty and Doc. Like, they're doing a spin-off of that, like a future generation. I just don't think is gonna read well. I don't know. I'll stop talking. I know our time's up, but I vote no for new movie.
I agree. I don't see why you would, like, I don't know. The first 3 wrap things up nicely. I don't see why you would want it.
Yeah, that's one of the few trilogies I felt like has ended really well, super satisfying. Like, there's nothing about that ending that I would want to change or know more about.
Star Wars was, but
yeah, okay, yeah. I mean, those are like, if you talk about the OG trilogy, but some people have issues with even like Return of the Jedi and stuff. I love
Return of the Jedi.
Me too.
Alrighty, so yeah, we're gonna move on, and we have just one more thing to talk about. Man, we're under 40 minutes. Incredible.
Oh, this is where everything gets long, though.
Excelsior. All right, so here we go. We're moving on to
Man, Bear, Pig. Sorry.
Man, Bear, Pig. Half man, half bear, half pig.
Excelsior.
So yeah, here we go. We're talking about Tears of the Kingdom once again. I'm the noob at this point with this game. I feel like I'm like 9 hours in, and you guys are what? You said 15. MetalGamer said what? Probably around there.
Well, let's start with the beginning. We've all gotten off the island, right? The Sky Island. So let's kind of talk about just like how it started, how he felt about it, kind of where the story's going, how he felt about the tutorial area, basic mechanics. Like, I don't know where you want to start. Do you want to talk kind of the story setup at the beginning? Do you like where this narrative's going?
I think so. I feel like there's quite a bit of intrigue with who this new villain was. They just kind of called him a mummy, him or her. I don't remember. I think it was him. But I think they just called him a mummy, right? I didn't even know who the character was.
Really?
Really? You can't tell? Like, red hair?
Was that Ganon?
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it didn't sound or look like...
The game doesn't hide that.
It didn't sound like him at all, I didn't think.
Well, it's...
He hasn't gotten as far as we did so far.
Maybe his body was just so deteriorated.
Man, he must really not have gotten far, because they jump into that real fast. Like, after you get out... I thought they mentioned it before you even got off the Sky Isle. Maybe not. But
I thought he was like a wizard, like lieutenant or something for Ganon.
Oh no! Well, spoiler, Chaz. That's Ganon.
Yeah, really.
yeah, they dig into that real quick. I mean, I guess I've watched a lot of the tiers now, so I have a little more context to the story, but I feel like it was really obvious it was Ganon, like, within the first, like, 5-6 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I guess Chaz probably just went off a completely different direction, probably did nothing story-related, so maybe that's why he didn't get that clip.
I think story-related, I got to... Gosh, what's the first... You get to, like, a garrison that's, like, right at the base of the castle.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that where you go up, like, this hill, and you talk to the lieutenant. And then basically after that, you, like, get shot into the sky, and you unlock your first scanning of the area. And then after that, I went straight for the... Yeah, and then after that, I went straight for the chasm. Did that with the old guy, and then that's basically where I left off. That's all the story stuff I have.
Well, maybe I don't know. I could have swore like prior to that I already knew it was Ganon, unless I just had that hunch.
Well,
up in the sky.
I thought it was Ganon, but I just didn't think it looked like him or sounded like him at all. I don't know.
Well,
I mean,
they explained that real fast.
Like I knew it the minute I saw it. I was like, "Oh, there he goes." That's what I was expecting. like hands down, like. You see it, and it's like, oh yeah, look at that.
But that's
pretty much it.
There's still a bunch of intrigue as to like, yeah, how did Ganon get down there? What was the hand? I understand the hand was like keeping him in place somehow. I don't know. I don't feel like I know anything.
That's fair. Well, I won't spoil the story aspect of it. Cause I know How many tiers have you done, Metal?
What do you mean tiers?
So you remember the? I don't think this is too spoilery. Remember in the last game, when you wanted to get more story, you had to go find those memories and take pictures? Mm-hmm. It's akin to that. I mean, it's not the same process. You go find tiers, hence, Tears of the Kingdom. So, and that's how you get your story. I'll just leave it at that.
Well,
have you done many of them? No. None? You haven't done any?
No. You know why?
Oh, you guys are both terrible.
No, you know why? Let me tell you why. I got so intrigued by just walking around and climbing crap. I'm consistently doing that. So my issue that I have with this game is that it gives you too much freedom to do whatever the hell you want. Again, same crap as the last one. Sorry. Were you done, Chaz?
What?
I didn't mean I could continue. I could go on.
No, just go.
Oh, okay. So no, I have not gotten any of the tiers yet, and the reason why is because I've just been kind of waltzing about and just kind of looking for stuff and finding things to do and getting into trouble pretty much.
And that's fair. You play the game, whatever way you want to. It is one of those games that pulls you all over the place. So
yeah. So before we go off into that. As far as the story is concerned, in the beginning, I'm okay with it so far. I thought it was really interesting how they kind of, handhold you underground. And I thought that was a really neat and different way to present
what do you mean,
the beginning of a Zelda game.
Explain to you how the chasm and all that works or whatever?
Well, I'm talking about the exploration, just in the very beginning. Like in the very beginning when you're talking and where you're walking down. And you're walking with Zelda.
I see what you're saying.
Very beginning.
Very, very. Sorry, my brain was thinking like
after
going
that.
Down.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw one of the chasms. I didn't bother going in. At least not yet. I'm not prepared for that crap yet. So
yeah, this game did a lot more at the beginning to set up the narrative than Breath of the Wild did. I mean, Breath of the Wild, you just woke up and game started. I mean, this one gave you like that whole kind of, well, not cutscene necessarily, but it gave you some narrative and some setup where you got to kind of walk through and kind of interact with the whole, cataclysmic event at the beginning. So I thought it was a good setup.
I thought it was a fine setup. I mean, considering that this is literally the, a lack of a better word, Breath of the Wild 2. Like seriously, like hands down, that's what this is.
Yeah. Which I mean, we shouldn't have been surprised by that. I think some people were wanting something, well, not wanting, but I think in the back of people's mind, people were expecting something maybe brand little more different, not brand new. I mean, I think anybody who was expecting something brand new was not being realistic. I mean, we saw the gameplay, we knew what this was going to be, but yes, this is very much Breath of the Wild, for better or for worse.
Easily.
I actually
Easily.
on a couple of reviews or other channels I actually watched, people have been answering that question I brought up to you guys last episode, where I said, if this game builds upon everything on Breath of the Wild, does it make it obsolete? And there's a lot. I actually watched one podcast where they were going on and on about how the person was just like, yeah, I don't see what the point of playing the first one is other than the narrative, and the first one's narrative isn't incredible.
Well, it kind of brings a little bit when you visit the first real place, you meet a person that you've met in the last game.
Mm-hmm.
So it's you're seeing people that you haven't seen in whatever amount of time that passes by, because they don't even tell you that, which is kind of interesting as well. I didn't get to tap into that.
Well,
and then you don't even know there's an undisclosed amount of time between the calamity and this.
It couldn't be that long.
It couldn't have been the end of the calamity to this one. It's okay, well, you already know it was 100 years between the events and when you beat the game. But it's wait, what? Oh, hold on a second. How long did it really take? And obviously a lot of the world is different.
I would say it's 5 years between at most.
It has to be.
You mean
when it makes a huge difference between Breath of the Wild and the events of Tears of the Kingdom? I'm gonna say 5.
So you think it took 5 years for him to grow out the rock and roll hair?
Yeah, he probably had a haircut too.
I can see that.
Because remember, he falls down, and then the guy is like, "You were damaged beyond darn near. I almost couldn't bring you back," or something. And you have long hair and a new arm.
Well, no, that was really quick. The time frame between the event of Tears of the Kingdom and then the stuff in the sky was a day. Because the kingdom's looking for them. It just happened, the whole upheaval thing. That was not a long time period. He had long hair at the very beginning of the game.
Yeah, but not that long.
Not that long.
It's it literally looks like he was in there for about 5 or 10 years.
I mean, he threw some rogue...
His hair looked ridiculous.
He had some Rogaine on or something.
Okay, you let your hair grow for 5 or 10 years, it's going to be a lot longer than that. I let my hair grow for 6 months, and it's halfway down my back.
I wish it was
I'll give him a few months. It's not going to be...
Robin Williams and Jumanji?
Anyways, I want to go back to what you were saying about if this necessarily makes the original game obsolete.
I just thought about it, but I think they were hedging their bet just by saying, if you played the Breath of the Wild for the gameplay and stuff, they were saying this makes it obsolete. But they were saying, obviously, if you still care about the narrative and stuff, Breath of the Wild is still a worthy game to go back and play.
I don't know if I agree with that yet.
I don't know about that.
I mean, I'm still...
Again, that's not my argument. That's just what I heard someone on a podcast, which I thought was interesting.
And I get that. I mean, if you look at this, side by side, yeah, it looks like Tears of the Kingdom does everything better. You can make more things, do whatever. I think what really is kind of getting to me about it, not if I want to go too far down this rabbit hole just yet, I'm iffy on Ultra Hand. Really? I don't know if I love it. From a puzzle-solving standpoint... I guess I'll just hop into it. We can come back to other topics later. So, in any other Zelda game, you get a tool, an item, a skill. Breath of the Wild did the same thing with your stasis and all that kind of stuff. And then you were given some kind of puzzle that was very curated that said, okay, solve this puzzle with this skill set. There was usually only a couple of solutions to it, right? That is not the case anymore. With this Ultra Hand, you can pretty much go in and do anything, which sounds great. But what I found is that ends up just me wasting time making stupid, crazy contraptions that may or may not work. Even when I do beat a shrine or beat a quote-unquote puzzle, I don't feel like I'm solving a true puzzle. I feel like I brute forced the solution, right? I didn't cleverly use my tools that were at my disposal in a curated way to solve a specific solution. And I feel like, although there are exceptions to that, there are times that there's a puzzle very clearly laid out that the game is saying do it this way, you get the correct answer. Most things in the game are not like that. It's just, hey, use all this crap, glue it together somehow, make it fly, make it launch, get to the end or get item over here, however you want to. Which is great from a creativity standpoint. I am getting tired of it sometimes though, when that's always the solution. It's hey, new area, make some crap. Hey, new area, make some more crap. Now it's getting easier because without going too far, they do make it easier for you to build things down the line and build things that you built before. So to a certain extent, that mitigates it. And there is some cool stuff you can do with building. I just hate that some of these puzzles, that's all they lean on is build things. And it isn't like where I could use like magnesis and stasis to launch something a very particular way in the last game. Like, I don't know. I'm almost feeling like there's too much creative freedom with at least the ultra hand mechanic. I like the ascension mechanic a lot. The recall mechanic, like those are very focused, curated tools that you can do like some very focused puzzles and feel like, oh, I'm smart because I figured out exactly how they wanted me to use that tool. Ultra hand just breaks all of that. It's just like, go at it.
So it's interesting where you're going with this, because I have a feeling when we talk about this more in depth once we finish the game and have our overall opinions collected, I have a feeling I'm definitely going to want to touch on the whole. I think we talked about it during our Breath of the Wild, retrospective, but the whole argument versus the open world versus the linear. Zelda story type thing.
This isn't an argument necessarily against an open world. I mean, I have some other comments about that.
Yeah.
It's not an issue with the sandbox. Like Breath of the Wild had a sandbox. And I don't know, it's too early, and I want to preface, I'm enjoying this game a lot. I do enjoy the building and whatnot. When I think about a Zelda game and how I like to solve certain challenges and puzzles, this is very different. Breath of the Wild was very different, but this is really taken it to an extreme. And I'm not saying I don't like it. I'm unsure about it. Depends how the future puzzles and whatnot kind of utilize the skill set moving forward. I might feel very differently after doing another dungeon, another dozen shrines. I don't know, but it has nothing to do with it being an open sandbox. I like that it's an open sandbox. I like the building stuff out in the world, but using it as the only solution for solving so many puzzles, that is just awkward for me right now.
Well, it's also like, I don't know. I was gonna say something to the avail of like when you give people so many freedoms and allow them to be so creative with what they're doing, it's like, are you kind of leaving it too much to the player to make their own fun, or is there actual fun to be had in the creative aspect? You know what I mean? Like,
and there is like. I feel like I'm coming across really hard with this. They have crafted an amazing game with so much
theoretically, this is what I was
It doesn't break. I mean, like, no matter what you do in the game, it doesn't break.
Mm-hmm. And I do think it's
Bethesda
great.
Something like this, and they're gonna break it. Like, no, I'm sorry to say that, because I really do enjoy Bethesda games. I'm not saying that it's just they're buggy. This game is polished.
Yeah,
it's so
no matter
polished.
What craziness
no matter
you
what
go
you
at
do.
it works.
It's like you can use Ascend, and you're just like, I mean, I don't know any other game that you can use Ascend and you're out of a grotto. Like, oh crap, I could just go up here. I'm done. Like, that's insanity.
But you get where I'm coming from. Where like by giving people so many creative freedom or making the game so creative and building heavy. Like, are you? I don't know.
A lot of developers use that where all they give you is a sandbox. I think is what you're saying, where they don't have any like real curated content. It's the fun you get out of it is the fun you make.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think that is. Yeah.
Well, granted, we're way early. There could be a ton of things that are like curated and.
Well, even this early, I don't think that's this game. Like, I'm having a lot of fun with the stuff that Nintendo has played out. There's a lot to do, whether it be my fun or the fun that they're kind of directing me towards. I think they've built a fantastic game. I think having the availability to make whatever you want out in the sandbox, that does give a lot of longevity to this game. People can have, infinite amount of playtime in it, which is really smart by Nintendo. But then they have the more focused areas where, they're quote-unquote more curated. I guess my issue is the puzzles aren't as curated as I'd like. At least not all of them that I've done. Granted, I've only done... I don't know how many shrines. Not anywhere near, I'm sure, the amount that's in the game. Maybe.
And like you're saying, perhaps the creativeness and the building aspect is integral to the Zelda experience in general, just because Zelda's always been about puzzles and stuff. So I don't know.
But what he's trying to say is that it's not puzzly enough. Like
it's puzzly, but in the wrong way.
Yeah, but it's like you're taking the mechanics and disregarding what the puzzle really is trying to tell you or show you.
You can bypass the puzzle completely.
Like the one I did earlier, it's like, come on, really? Like, seriously, you find some things and you're just like, are you serious right now? Like, I'm
Which
done
in some
with
ways
this.
is nice, but to
but
be able to
then-
do that all the time,
I mean, I don't know if I want to keep crafting boxes and putting spheres in it to try to get it going on a freaking stupid rail.
that's the thing too.
That pisses me off.
So like, I mean, of course you can be super creative and build whatever you want, and every new puzzle could be solved with a new creative way. Let's be real though, after you've done 10 of the same like puzzle, you're not being all that creative anymore. You're building the exact same thing you did to solve it last time. Like, have you guys come across the guy you have to prop up his sign?
Yeah, I
Yes.
did see him. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you figured it out?
Oh yeah, I've done that puzzle probably 15 times now.
Really?
You're gonna
wow.
keep doing it because
Mhm.
apparently, I mean, I'm guessing he's
do the
throughout the entire
same-
world.
Yep, you find them all over the place, and like the height of the sign changes and a few other things, but it's always the same thing. Glue some crap together, stick it under, prop it up, and you do that kind of stuff over and over. And not that there probably aren't more creative ways to do it, but after a while, I just do the same thing I've done the past 10 times. I grab the same boxes, change the height a little bit, put them together. So I guess that's what I'm getting at is, I don't know, it's now getting almost dull even by their system to solve these quote-unquote puzzles. Granted, that's a trivial version of that, but I don't know. It's still really early. I'm hoping there's more curated, interesting usage of these abilities down the line. I just hope it isn't that I can break everything throughout the entire game with Ultra Hand.
What would you guys say? Because I definitely saw at least a couple articles like on major news outlets, but like I saw some articles of people, I think, even questioning whether they consider this a Zelda game. What would you say to people who are like in that boat of like? Because I think I saw, it might have been Kotaku. I don't want to rip on Kotaku like always, but I saw some article that said, is this even a Zelda game at this point or something? And I don't know. What would you guys say to that?
Go ahead, Middle.
Do you think that's
Yeah,
a ridiculous
boy.
take?
It's of course a
It's-
Zelda game.
It's a Zelda game for sure. Like, it's just, you know what it is that it's really evolved a lot since Twilight Princess. And I use Twilight Princess is because they really started branching off a lot since then. And, you know, doing all those, their version of the tiers, like, it's just like they did a lot of other stuff. And they're just building and building upon all that, obviously nostalgia and then a bunch of other new crap from all the other games. So I mean, it is a Zelda game. It really is. It feels, it runs like a Zelda game. It's a freaking solid Zelda game. It's just, I mean, I guess this is only in my own opinion, is just taking the same assets and the same game engine and just kind of making a new game out of it. I mean, that's understood. I get it. It's just, I don't know how I feel about it yet.
That's an interesting direction to go in, like, visually and animations wise. I mean, I don't necessarily think I see much different, even though I admitted to Phoenix, I actually still think the game looks good. Like,
But here's the thing.
do you need more?
Why
Is
does
that-
that
is that-
matter?
for a
It is a
while.
sequel. Like,
It's a sequel.
yeah, like,
Hands
I mean,
down.
I don't think that makes it a Zelda game or not. Like, think about the new God of War games. The first one, the second one looked the same.
Yeah, identical.
I don't think you'd be like, oh, this isn't a God of War. Like, it's a sequel. I mean, it's on the same system. It's clearly a progression of the last.
Oh, no,
one.
I'm
I
not
don't think
tying-
there's
I'm
any
not-
issue.
tying those two. I just mean in general, just what did you guys think of? Do you think there's any differences between?
There's some minute changes. I mean, the art style shifted a little bit in places,
Little.
but I mean, they've definitely reused assets all over the place.
Oh,
the
yeah.
map in places is
It's the same,
not the
pretty
same,
much.
but changed. Yeah.
Well, they used a lot of the same stuff.
There's a lot of.
Yeah.
I notice a lot of like the only like problems I kind of see visually is there's a lot of frame rate dropping when you're creating things. Like I notice whenever
Yeah,
you start.
It hasn't been terrible, at least for
I
me.
haven't seen it as much.
I've noticed it, but not in like
Very
a
small.
game-breaking way
Yeah,
or anything.
yeah, I agree.
I don't know. I mean, I get what you're saying, but here, I think if anything, they've utilized that to their benefit because, yes, there's assets they've reused, but they have added so much new stuff to this game too. So instead of having to waste their time rebuilding the framework,
did
the
all
framework's already
mechanics.
there. They just added new stuff to it. So people who are arguing, oh, it looks like the same game, they haven't played much of this game yet because there is a huge amount of extra content that is brand new stuff.
Yeah.
I want to jump back really quick on if this is a Zelda game. So think about it this way: like there's a bunch of different types of Mario games, right? You have the 2D Mario games and 3D Mario games. Very different games, right? I don't think you would argue either one of them is not a Mario game. But some people are going to prefer the 2D, some people are going to prefer the 3D. It's just when you look at Mario or Zelda or whatever as a franchise, what are the things that you grasp onto based upon your preferences, your nostalgia, your history with it? And for the most part, prior to Breath of the Wild, most Zelda games, you had the 2D, so some people love 2D. You had the 3D, so a lot of people love the 3D. This is almost like a new genre for Zelda, if you will, or a new way to kind of realize it. I mean, yes, it's technically 3D, but it's a whole different type of gameplay, right? Whereas all the older Zeldas were relatively linear, maybe a little hub-based. This has broken that, and it's a whole new gameplay loop. So I don't think it makes it not Zelda, because there's plenty of Zelda elements in this. But you have to think, okay, what are the things you love about Zelda that make you want to come back and play a Zelda game? For me, it's dungeons and puzzles. Relatively curated ones. Not that I don't like some open-ended and creativity in it, but I like feeling like I have solved this challenging riddle, basically, that they put in front of me. And there's plenty of that in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Not saying it's not there, but you know what I'm talking about. That very just curated, you solve this thing, the do-do-do-do-do goes off, and you feel super like, you know, the dopamine starts hitting. I miss that. And I'm not getting enough of that yet in Tears of the Kingdom because they don't have all those same curated puzzles. Or the ones they do have repeat a lot because it's open world and they're trying to fill some content in places. So it's a Zelda game, but it's a different Zelda game. And I think it's fine if maybe this is not your favorite type of Zelda. I'm still not sold if it's mine. I don't know. It's still early, and I know there's a lot of cool things in this game I've not come across yet, so my opinion might change.
Real quick, I just wanted to definitely heap praise on it in one way. It's really quite interesting how rather than a lot of people were like, well, how are they going to make the world bigger? Where they didn't exactly build out,
they made it taller.
They built
up.
Upwards, and it's really cool how there's
the depth is fantastic.
There's 3 levels now. There's sky, there's the ground level, and then you have the chasm or the whole underworld, which is basically the world.
The whole world is a big old level.
Yeah, it's like a whole new.
I found out about the depths, which is super cool. It's a direct inversion of the topography of Hyrule. It's like if you stack them, if there was a mountain on Hyrule, it's a valley in the depths. Ooh. It's the exactly opposite.
That's pretty cool. That makes it
so fun. That is, in my opinion, that is impressive for the Switch to be able to, I don't know, render. But have the ability
it loads all that. Mm-hmm. No loading screen really. I mean, you have hidden load screens when you jump down a chasm, but. No, it runs smooth. You can shift between the levels really seamlessly. The depths caught me so off guard. I think that's why if I'm going to gush about anything, it's going to be the depths. I know at least Chaz, you did. I don't know if Metal, you did this. You guys, I think, went the correct way to get to the depths, where you found goggles and what's your name?
Took a picture or whatever for him.
Yeah, I missed that completely. I just said, screw you guys, I'm going off towards Rito, and then I just found a well out in the middle of nowhere, had some red goop coming out of it. And I jumped in wells prior to that and just fell in a cave. I jumped in this, fell into the deep, it's some weird random spot with high-level monsters, and
I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, as you're going up to the Rito.
That's the one I didn't go into. I saw that thing on the map. I saw it from above, and I was like, ooh, what's that? And I went towards it. I was like, nope. I just went hell with that thing.
Yeah,
apparently there's I did see in a trailer there's an entrance in one of the mountains. Yeah I had that spoiled for me.
Man. Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious once you see it.
It's just you just go and you find things. You find it, you get lucky. Oh goody,
I want to find Ghidorah. There's a Ghidorah somewhere.
Ghidorah? What?
Godzilla, Ghidorah.
Oh.
Ghidorah, isn't Ghidorah the 3-headed?
There's a bunch of them.
Oh, is there?
I've come across 3 of them. There's an electric one. There's a fire one. I won't tell you where they're at, but I haven't fought one yet.
I was gonna say I think I saw a Lionel.
I haven't seen a Lionel yet.
I saw one, and I saw the freaking centaur-looking thing, and I said, "Oh hell no!" And I walked away because I was only 3 health. That guy would wreck me.
I will say one thing I really thought was fun is I did like a storm the castle type mission, where like you just like storm this base that the bokoblins have taken over, and you have like your
stronghold.
You have like your full like army. You have like a full army behind you.
Oh boy,
it's kind of fun. My stream was just like, ready men, charge, and everyone. I thought it was fun. I like storming castles.
Apparently you can do quite a few of those.
No, I haven't done many of those. I think I did like a little side one, and then I was like, oh, that's cool, and then I just kind of like crawled around and then ran away.
I spent a bunch of time
climbing.
Or good.
No, I'm saying I just been climbing everywhere, and that's my problem with this game. I keep climbing, and when I see it, I'm like, I want to go there, and I just start flying all over the place. I want to go there.
That's one thing I gotta.
I say screw the horses.
I gotta figure out how you get your stamina to go up, because I know you do it with the shrines and by doing the turning in
4 shrines, and then you either get a heart or you get a stamina. You tell the shrine what you want.
Oh, because the first couple times I've done it, it just gave me a heart automatically.
Well, that's in the beginning.
Yeah, I think they may force you at the very beginning, but after that, every time you go to pray at one of the statues, you just.
Because I've only found like 8, I think.
Oh, there's a bunch, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, and I'll tell you, I mean, I know I've come across maybe a little harsh with some things of the game. It does so many other things fantastic, like the exploration. And I think that's like the new component that it's Zelda-y now.
It's Zelda 1 pretty much.
A different Zelda. New. Yeah. And I think what does kind of come back and maybe almost makes these games more Zelda than anything else. I remember Miyamoto a long time ago when he was talking about how he created Zelda. He was wanting to recreate something about when he was a kid and he was going to go search in the forest and go in caves and forests in Japan. And this is that. Yeah. Like, if you take the dungeons and stuff out of it and whatnot, this is that exploration I think he always probably wanted. So, what's more Zelda than that? Just the adventure aspect of it. So, and this game does that in spades. It always gives you somewhere to go. I mean, I'm the same way as you. I am distracted all the time. Like, I might see a goal, I will go every other way but that goal, and it takes me like 5 hours to get there. Like,
when I went into the Doritos area, I did not go the traditional route. I ended up there at the end. Okay, I went down there. I literally just glided my way down. Yeah. That's. I ended up at the shrine. I was like, yeah, shrine.
That's the easiest way to do it too.
It is so stupid. I wanted to go through the trail. I wanted to. I never did.
And that's the thing about this game. For better or for worse, you can break the intended path. Like. I mean, there's so many other like weird tricks out there right now to like skip over half the map, but even just with the basic tool set, you can get around really easily and just bypass huge swaths of the map for better or for worse. Now, that could be great in some aspects if you just want to get from point A to point Z, but you're going to be missing stuff. Is that a good? Is that a bad thing? I don't know. But, it's how the game's set up.
I want to try to walk around a little bit more on the trails to see if I can find any more things, because it's like I keep bouncing all over the place. I keep bouncing. Like now that I have the wing thing, I'm just like gliding all over the place. Glide. Like that was my biggest issue with Breath of the Wild, and here I am doing the exact same thing as the last.
Fly over everything and miss everything.
Fly over. Yeah, and then I love the falling mechanic in the game. Like. It is so awesome. Well, like
basically getting
freaking plummeting.
This game is basically make traveling by horse like boring now.
Oh, the horse is probably the worst way to get around.
Yeah,
it's irrelevant. Even in the last game, it was irrelevant. You use it, it's cool, but
the horse I used a lot in the previous game.
I can't recall, but I find the horse really annoying because he's only at the stable to get him, and then like if you leave him somewhere. Your whistle won't call him after so far away, so getting a new horse, you have to find a whole another stable to pull him back. It's more of a hassle than anything else. But the other annoying thing is then, okay, you're not going to have a horse. Well, you're going to build a car, so then you got to build a car every time to get around. So, I don't know. That's why you start getting a little annoyed at the building mechanic, too. I just end up flying everywhere.
I feel like I should bring it also up to you guys. Have you crucified a Korok yet? No.
I've launched many into the ocean, though.
I've seen videos of people like crucifying them,
torture devices,
burning them.
Oh my gosh!
History.
Yeah. No one wants to deal with those Koroks, man.
I saw someone just put a rocket on one of them and just. Shoo.
I've done that a couple of times.
I seriously think that. I seriously think the Korok thing is like Nintendo's like way of trolling players. Like, it's gotta be. Like, it's like, oh yeah, here's 1,000 more of these things to find. Good luck, everybody else. Like, it's like, thanks. It's like, no, I don't want a golden poop again. Get out of here. Like,
Oh, you get handy upgrades though. I'll keep collecting
know.
little poops until whenever.
yeah, sure. I feel bad for the people who are OCD about collecting though.
Oh yeah, I mean, and I'm usually a completionist in a lot of games, but I
Not
decided
bad.
long ago, just this game in general, I'm never gonna complete. I feel like you would have to spend, man, I don't even know how much time, 100 more hours in this game, and just to guarantee even like cover everything, it's probably still gonna be stuff you miss. So this will not be a completionist game for me.
I think I was reading online that Nintendo specifically said you're not supposed to find them all. Like,
Yeah.
you're not.
Yeah, they're there to give you something, so if you are just walking along a path, good
find
chance you're
it.
going to come across at least a Korok to kind of, keep you intrigued and moving you along. So,
Right.
one of those things.
Good luck.
All right, so let's see. We talked about story. We talked about the depths a little bit, which hands down my favorite part so far.
Definitely.
What else haven't we talked about? I really want to talk about the Rito dungeon. I know, Chaz, you haven't gotten that far, but
You could
I've got
pause,
some
buddy.
feels. Do you want to listen? Do you want to mute us?
Just go ahead.
We'll give you the signal when we're
Are
done.
you sure, man?
No,
I mean,
just go ahead.
because that's the first real dungeon you get to play, and it's
I
like,
wouldn't say like anything. I would say is like, I mean, it's spoilery, but I don't think it's going to turn you off the game.
I'll forget
I'm worried
about
it would bias you
Just
a
go
little
ahead.
bit.
I still want to play it, so just go ahead.
Well, okay,
I
so
mean,
Metal,
I
you
mean-
played it.
yeah, oh yeah, I beat it earlier today, and I mean, obviously we're not gonna tell you how to beat it because you need to figure that out. That's the fun part about it, at least for me. Like, just trying to go through and figuring it out, because I was running around trying to get it, and I was like, all right, so I like getting to it. I think getting to it was super fun. Like, I'm glad that you get to meet up with Tulin again
Yeah.
from the last game, and I'm like, oh, that's so cool. You never see the same person twice in a Zelda game, at least not in a sense that they remember you. And it's pretty neat that you can, like, you go through the story, but then you have to go through the caves, find him, then do whatever. I loved going up into that stupid freaking hurricane that was going on up there,
Yeah.
because it was
Towards
different.
the end, it got pretty cool.
Oh man, it got really awesome. Like,
And that's really akin to Breath of the Wild too. The trek to the dungeon / divine beast / whatever, that's always been pretty good, even in Breath of the Wild. Like how you get to the dungeon, in some ways is better than what other Zelda games do. Like other Zelda games, you have like an open world around it, and then you find the temple, the dungeon, and you just go into the dungeon. Like this game and Breath of the Wild does make it this whole event just to get to the dungeon. So that definitely hypes you up a little bit, and it is, at least this one's pretty cinematic towards the end.
So am I gauging that your desire to see more Zelda-oriented dungeons, is that being satisfied to an extent, or just based on one? Based on one,
hold on.
you're like, eh,
I'm not done
I
yet.
can't say it yet. Yeah, go ahead, Metal.
I'm not done yet.
okay.
Give your
Let me
synopsis.
tell you. So,
I'm trying to stay
alright.
engaged here.
okay. Oh, I'm so sorry we're boring you. So,
He's on
why
his
don't you go
phone,
check out the
playing
new? Why don't you just all right? Go to IGN, find the newest thing. Anyway, so, so the dungeon itself, it's okay. It's okay. I had to leave once just to be able to get crap to eat because I couldn't keep myself warm. I think the mechanic of leaving a dungeon and coming back and still being able to continue playing it, that breaks that portion for me. At first I was like, oh, that's convenient. Then I did it because I needed it, and I'm like, oh, but that just made it easier for me.
I mean, to be fair, you've been able to do that in old Zeldas too. You could complete half a dungeon, then leave, but they made it a lot harder.
Not like this.
Not like this, you're right? Like before, it was a whole trek. You had to go back to the entrance,
dude,
make your way to wherever. This is just quick teleport, get what you need, come right
Holy-
back, keep going.
When I saw you could just teleport back in, I was like, oh, wait, what? Like,
Well, that
and
was
then
in
they're
the-
just like, hey, what's going on? I was waiting for you. It's like,
That was
Huh?
wasn't that in the previous game?
Yeah.
I think you could do that with the.
Yeah, same thing as the
Yeah.
Divine Beast.
Yeah.
it's just, I guess I never did it back then because
I
that
definitely did it a couple
was really-
times.
I didn't think you could do that. I thought that was surprising, but overall for me, that dungeon was easy.
Oh, super.
Very fast, very quick. I think the way I had to figure some of the stuff out, because it took me a bit to figure out some things. I was like, okay, Ascend's not working, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, let me look at the map. And that's when I started piecing things together. I looked at the map more to see, okay, first level, second level, third level. Okay, cool. There's something over here. Let me check over here. Let me check over there. Before you know it, I was like, okay, there's more of these. Let me just go over there and see. Now that I know that there's this type of stuff around this specific dungeon. Unlike the Divine Beast, where the Divine Beast had at least some sort of intrigue, this did not have any of that. Now, it wasn't bad. I'm not saying it was bad. It was different in its own way because you get to use your surroundings to bounce up and take a look at the map, do whatever. I think in general, it was a very simple dungeon. I think that's my problem. It was very simple, very Zelda, which is good because that's what we want, but not as complex as a normal Zelda dungeon with a massive boss. I found the boss fight to be fun. The boss fight was fun.
But it was easy too.
But it was easy. Once you figure it out, it's like, oh, okay, well, avoid this, do that. There was two ways to get around to that. Like, I did something by accident. I was like, oh, well, if I just wait for it to go up, I could do this. Now, obviously, I'm not mentioning details because I'm not trying to spoil anything. And I don't mean in a sense of, exactly what to do. That's the reason why I'm avoiding all that for you.
You wouldn't
I'm
want
gonna
to
spoil.
You wouldn't want to make things too easy on me. I mean, I gotta have content.
I'm gonna give you. This is easy. It is definitely easy. It's fun. I'm hoping the next one is better. I'm hoping there's a better progression, and I'm hoping that this is just easy because it's the first major event of.
Here's why I don't think it's gonna be. I mean, the game does push you to do Rito first, but the game also knows there's no guarantee you're gonna do Rito first. Any dungeon could be your first dungeon, which makes me think they're all gonna have some similar aspects. But I don't know. I can come back to that.
That would be a bit disappointing if they were all.
Well, that's how the Divine Beasts were.
Yeah, I know.
They
That's
were
why.
all pretty
They were
even
all the
killed.
same.
Now, there were other things out in the world that were harder. It wasn't the dungeons, and I have a feeling that's how this is going to be too. But I don't know. Is there anything else you want to add to it before I tear into it?
A little bit. I felt the cannons were useless. It was a stupid thing. I was like, why what? Get out of here. The boats are cool around it. I thought that was it was nice to save myself from falling, even though it wouldn't have mattered because I could have just teleported back up.
Yeah.
What else?
Well, if you do fall, you automatically respawn back in the boat.
Yeah. So I didn't. There's no sense of danger. You just kind of do things.
There's no threat through almost the entire dungeon.
Yeah, which was the problem with Breath of the Wild. There's no threat of Ganon. You don't feel that there's a threat of Ganon at all, and I feel like this is doing the exact same thing.
It's not even just threat of Ganon, like even just regular enemies that you would encounter throughout the dungeon.
Yeah.
Super sparse, none of them posed any real challenge.
I mean,
So-
what the freaking what are they called?
The constructs or whatever they
Zodak
are.
or whatever. Yeah, the
Yeah.
construct. They're whatever, dude. I run up to those things. I just start slamming on them. I don't care. Maybe I'll throw an arrow so I can stun them. It doesn't make me want to use parry. It's like I'd rather use parry on a bokoblin or something.
It's not worth the effort. You just run up, whack them, and keep on going.
Yeah, like they're not as bad. So the constructs are kind of whatever. I can't think of. You're gonna mention something that I'm overlooking, so I'm gonna let you talk. So
Okay.
that's
Well,
my overall. It's okay.
Well, chime in if I get
Give him,
ranty.
give him
'cause
too much
I might.
credit.
Do it.
Just to say things I do like about it. I agree the way you get to the dungeon, really cool. And I have you even like, do you have any retrospect, Chaz, about even how this dungeon's kind of set up or where it's at?
Mm-mm.
So you haven't even touched the Dorito thing at all, right?
No.
Okay,
Okay.
so
It's a
no,
cool lead up
it's
to
freaking
it.
awesome.
I do feel like the initial part of the lead up went on a little long. I don't know if you felt that way, but I felt like, okay, I get what's going on. I'm ready to get to the dungeon. So it felt a little drawn out, but it was fun. I thought the theming of the dungeon was better. Like, that's one thing I know we all
Really
didn't
nice.
like about Breath of the Wild was all the divine beasts look like
Look
divine
the same.
beasts, and I'm hoping this is just a cue that all the dungeons will look and feel different, which the developer said that they will. So that was all good. Check marks across the board. Then you get to the dungeon. It felt small. It felt divine beast size-ish, maybe a little bigger.
Without
maybe.
the movements and stuff of the divine beasts. Yeah, pretty much. Take away that, and that's you. The husk of it is exactly that.
Yeah. So size and scope-wise, at least this dungeon was not much bigger than a beast. So that was a little disappointing. And then here's what I really didn't like about it. So I won't tell you exactly what you're doing, Chaz, but when you get in, your goal is to activate 5 things. Okay? And they're just 5 things somewhere on the map. There's no order you have to do them. You can just go anywhere, like the game always has you do, and just you find one somewhere, you activate it, you come back, you do the next one. And I really broke the dungeon for me, because one thing when I think about traditional Zelda dungeon, it's the progression through the dungeon. Like, you go through, you fight yourself to get that first key, you have to find it, whatever.
If it doesn't confuse me and leave me throwing my controller, it's probably not a real Zelda dungeon.
No, it's not.
It's not gonna. It doesn't feel dungeony.
If you see me on stream, do it and not mess up.
It's dungeony, like a typical
It's got
early
dungeon aspects, but not in the progression. That's what threw me off. Like, when I think of a traditional Zelda dungeon, going back to, like, I don't know, Skyward Sword, Twilight Princess, Ocarina, it follows a fairly standard thing, right? You get into the dungeon, you find the first key, get through the first door. You maybe find another key, get through the next door. Then you have a mini boss to kind of challenge you and test you up to that point.
And each one has like a theme. There's like a theme or like a general progression of puzzles and stuff.
Yeah, and I'm not even like, the theme is here, but it's literally that progression that this is lacking. Like, you beat a mini boss, and then you get an item. Then that item is how you do the next thing, which gets you to the boss. Like, you feel like you are accomplishing something each step of the way and progressing, fighting your way through this dungeon. You don't feel like that with this. You're just like, okay, I did that one, I did this one, I did that one. Just check, check, check. No order, no rhyme or reason to it. You just hop in and do it. None of them have a big challenge. There's no mini boss. You're of course not getting new items because it's not how this game works. So it's just very flat.
It's not like like my easiest thing I can compare it to is I remember in the area with the scorpion in Skyward Sword, where like that whole beginning dungeon starts off with you kind of getting that like leaf thing. I think it was like a leaf weapon, and the whole dungeon operates around you using that to free open, like to blow like pillars sideways or to flip switches or stuff like that.
But that's a typical Zelda dungeon. Like they expect you to use a item that to basically beat that dungeon. Without that item you can't do it. Or it'll just be very, very freaking difficult. But normally you can.
And that's where this dungeon gets kind of weird, because there is no one item you need. I mean, there are certainly times that, okay, you need to use a ability to get to a certain spot, but there's also probably 5 or 6 other ways you probably could have done it. Once again, Ultra Hand breaks a lot of stuff. None of the puzzles were challenging. I wouldn't even say there were much in the way of puzzles. Like, maybe little clever mechanics. You had to, like, I remember where you had to connect to open a gear. If you remember that one. That was... I wouldn't even say it's a puzzle.
That was interesting. You just had to figure it out. Like, you knew that you had to do something. It either had to do with wind, which I thought wind would have worked, or just Ultra Handed, which is pretty much what I ended up using Ultra Hand and the reverse thingy, the time reverse.
Yeah, the
because,
recall.
Does
the recall.
Does Ultra Hand ruin that that aspect of Zelda gameplay of you needing specific items to do specific things because you can create whatever you need?
And it's worse than it was in Breath of the Wild. And this is why, like, I am hesitant to say that this makes Breath of the Wild obsolete. I mean, this does a lot of things better than Breath of the Wild, and Breath of the Wild certainly has its issues, but it was almost more curated than this was. Like, you had to use stasis, you had to use, was it cryonis or whatever it was. Like, there was a very particular way you need to use those abilities to get through. Yeah. Right. This game, I mean, does that to a certain extent. Like, there are times you have to use Ascend or you have to use Recall, but if you're persistent enough, you could break it with Ultra Hand or get pretty close to it. Like, almost a little too open-ended in this there, which just really kind of breaks the puzzle aspect of it, which hurts because, once again, I love the puzzles. The progression's not there, so I don't feel like I'm, you know, fighting through this dungeon. I don't feel like I'm mastering a skill set using a certain item. Like, the dungeon progression still is really lacking to me.
Yeah, that was one of the main issues me and you had that problem with Breath of the Wild. We're like, man, like, some of these, first off, there's too many shrines, and second, they took whatever that, if there was a shrine or two that you really enjoyed, they could have put that into a freaking puzzle, like an actual dungeon to make it look cool, fun, you know, make it, I don't know, a hidden dungeon somewhere. You know,
want
you
something
go in
that
there and
builds upon the gameplay, builds upon the skill. Like, that's why I said, like, in the old dungeons, you had to build up your understanding of a item or skill to complete the dungeon. You felt like you mastered or accomplished something. I don't feel like that with this dungeon.
No.
And I have a feeling I'm not going to feel like that with the other dungeons. I could be very wrong. I hope I am. But as I said, like, the reason I don't think so, though, is for what I said earlier. Yes, the game pushes you towards Rito, but the game in the Breath of the Wild pushed you towards, was it the Zora one?
The elephant one thing.
Yeah.
First.
But you could have went... Yeah, it was the elephant. But you could have went to any other one. And clearly, that would have been fine, because all the Divine Beasts were pretty much laid out in the same way. Which makes me think, although these dungeons are all going to look different, they're probably all going to be at some similar level in either skill cap or progression or whatnot.
Do you think that specifically is done for difficulty, where they don't want to make people, maybe younger people, feel stuck if they accidentally went to the hardest one first, you know?
I mean, maybe to a certain extent, but I don't think it's for younger people necessarily, but I think it's the design of this game, right? The whole point of this game, or what they sell, is go anywhere, do anything. If they throw a lot of walls at you when it comes to these dungeons, you really can't go anywhere and do everything. So they have to, and that's just a trick with this design, right? Trying to balance that where you still feel like you're having progression while keeping everything accessible. And I'm not feeling like they're really hitting that just yet. The boss was cool looking. Granted, I thought there was going to be more to that dungeon. Like, when the thing opens up, I thought I was getting to a new level of the dungeon. I'm thinking, okay, here's the next step, and I'm going to dig into it. But no, it's the boss. The boss looked cool. I beat him in like 3 minutes. I won't tell you exactly what I did, but it was very one note. He looked cool. I felt like he had almost no threat at all to me, at least with the way I was fighting him. Took him out, done, and, you know, moved on. The story elements were cool around it. I said visually it looked a lot better. Like, it looked like a Zelda dungeon. You had the boss like a Zelda dungeon. Yep. But the heart of it wasn't Zelda.
Yeah.
So you know what?
I agree 100%.
So this whole argument, or not argument, this whole understanding of how, you know, the whole open world and stuff, you know, how that plays into the Zelda gameplay, like, I don't mean to bring this comparison up, but like, it immediately hits me is I was also playing The Last of Us Part 2, and that game very much reminds me of like the like perfect, I guess, kind of synergy of like that game for the most part is very linear, but then there's a couple times when you like enter an open space and the game opens up and there's like side quests and more exploring. So I'm just thinking like, is that more similar to like an old school Zelda experience like Ocarina? Like, I know Ocarina is known for the open field, but when you got to specific places, was it more linear, kind of like Last of Us Part 2, where like, again, it's got linear story moments throughout, but then there's a couple particular parts where it's open, which I like that, I think.
I mean, if we're thinking like, you know, Ocarina or Twilight, it's very kind of hub-based, right? You've got like Hyrule, and then you start a quest which takes you towards a temple, your dungeon, you do the thing, you come back to the hub, and then the game directs you, okay, from the hub, go do this one. There's usually, though, an order that you should do it. Like, you need the item from this one to be able to do the next one. So, I mean, maybe. I wouldn't... I have a hard time comparing it to Last of Us Part 2. I mean, I know what you're talking about. I think there's more back and forth in a Zelda game than there is in, like, Last of Us, because, like, there's times you want to go do side quests and go, like, you know, farm things and do weird side things in the hub area that Last of Us doesn't.
I was just using that as an example to, like, just show the openness in, like, the couple sections, and then you, for the most part, though, your narrative experience is, like, more linear. Like, it's more, you know.
I mean, maybe. I say it's hard for me to make that comparison. And I think my issue is I feel like Nintendo didn't have to do what they did here with dumbing down. I don't want to say dumbing down the dungeon, but I still feel like there was a place to have like a traditional progression in these type of dungeons in Breath of the Wild. And it's, I'm hoping I'm going to see that. I mean, a lot of people are really... I haven't looked at what they're super excited about, but there's some really cool areas I know that I haven't gotten to that could completely flip the script on me, and it might feel completely different. But I know when I was first coming into this game, one of the things we had talked about was, you know what, I would probably rank this as my favorite Zelda as long as it did what Breath of the Wild did with actual dungeons on it. It's not doing that yet, and I'm honestly wondering if that would really be enough. Yeah, I'm curious if we're going to see that. I mean, I don't know. I'm coming across really negative now. I'm probably bumming myself out. And I'm not saying that I don't enjoy the game. The game's still a lot of fun, but if you play Zelda for the dungeons, you're still going to be a little disappointed, at least based upon the one dungeon I have played.
Yeah, if you only did the one, I mean, I'm hoping we were like proven wrong.
We're
I
still,
really want to be proven wrong.
We're
like,
still
I'm sure there's going to be other cool
yeah.
things. Like, Breath of the Wild excited me because it had other stuff besides the dungeons, like that labyrinth, Eventide Isle. Like, there were other things I think gave you a more interesting, curated experience. And may just not be the dungeons, which maybe it's just a weird shift in perspective that I have to make. I enjoy the game. I'm still not sure if it's going to end up being my favorite Zelda game, just because I really, really love the dungeons. And I'll tell you, a few things are gonna, or it's gonna be hard for this game to beat like the Skyward Sword dungeons for me. Those are still like top tier dungeons in my opinion. And this dungeon was nowhere near even like the lower tier dungeons in that game.
Interesting.
Well, the world is pretty big. I mean, I'm hoping to see some fun things. That's the only thing I can say, because it's like those dungeons, man. I miss them. I really do. Like, I love those big dungeons, man. Like, you just go in there and there's the only way out is finishing it. You know, like, I don't want to use Ascend to get out of it. Like, that sucks.
There
like,
were these big moments, right? You built up to it, and it was just this giant obstacle you had to get through. And they don't feel like obstacles now. Not only are they easy while you're in it, but as you said, you could leave. You could go do whatever else you want and then just come back in. So it trivializes the experience. Like, I remember back when I would have to like Twilight Princess, I would finally get... I remember I got to the Temple of Time, like midnight or something one night, and I'm looking at it like, am I ready to commit to this right now? Like, knowing it's going to be like a 2.5 hour just like grind to get through. Of course I did it because I was insane. But like, you have to really build yourself up and make this commitment, fight through these challenges, and then when you beat it, you're like, that feels so good.
This doesn't do it. This doesn't do it. You're not gonna feel that.
I beat the whole thing. 'Cause I almost thought that the other night when I was about to start this dungeon. I got there and it was like, I think it was like 11:30 or midnight. I'm like, ooh, I probably shouldn't do it because I'm anticipating it's gonna be one of those big dungeons. It's gonna take me 2 hours. I'm like, well, let me just see if I can get started in it. 40 minutes, if that, done with the boss fight and everything. And I was just like,
That happened to me. That happened to me yesterday. Like last night, I started it. I'm like, I stopped at a point where I was like, I need to make some more food. That was the only thing. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna stop here. But when I picked it up again today, I went to an area that I remembered had all those peppers, and I was like, let me just grab a whole crap ton of them. Made like a ton of food. I think I only went through like 2 kebabs, not even. I think I went through 1 kebab just to finish up the majority of the stuff, and then went to the second kebab, beat the thing in within a few minutes. I got left with like 1 minute left, 2 minutes left.
Can I just say, I find that whole aspect, maybe, I don't know why I didn't find it annoying in the last game, but for some reason I find kind of the cooking and stuff kind of trivial in this one. It's just like,
I feel like they added more weight to it now after what I've experienced. I'm like, they're really pushing it. Like, I'm like, it's cold up here, like unbreathable cold. That's colder than cold.
It's like, why can't my
That's the same as the last game though.
like why
It's
can't
the exact same
like
thing.
why can't the health just gradually go up when you're out of combat? I don't know. I mean,
I
I
don't
get
mind
it.
that. I mean,
that doesn't matter. No Zelda game gave you that anyway, so it wouldn't even matter. And realistically, nah, you wouldn't want to do that. You wouldn't.
there's some tedium to those mechanics. I personally, I like those kind of semi-tedious things. Like, it's a nice, when there's a doldrum, just kind of, manage my inventory, make some more food. Like, I like that kind of nonsense in open world games, so it doesn't bother me. I don't feel like they have done a lot to change that system for better or for worse. Like, that's, I think, one of the interesting things about this game. They've added a lot of cool content to it. A lot of the systems, though, from Breath of the Wild just carry over.
Yeah, they carry
for
over.
better or for worse. This cooking system is one. The durability system. I mean, it's changed a little with Fusion, but it's still there. If you hated it before, you're probably still going to hate it now. So I just find it interesting that they just doubled down on some of that stuff. They didn't say, you know what, people didn't all like that durability. Maybe we should tweak that system. They're like, nope, it was in the last game. We're going to do it again. So I don't know if that's good or bad. I mean, I don't hate it, so it doesn't bother me too much. But for those who do hate it, they're going to hate it now.
I actually don't mind the cooking system. I think it's a little bit more like, that's like the replacement of like potions, like in the old games, because you still make potions here. You just don't need to make them.
Yeah,
that's the only difference. Like, it's like, oh, before you need to make a potion in order to have it, or get yourself a fairy because you needed a jar to get the fairy, and if you had like 2-3 fairies, you're probably pretty good for like the majority of the game. Like, kind of,
One thing about the cooking system, though, that kind of breaks the game is, to my knowledge, there's no limit on how much food you can have or how good it can be. So you could spend, 3 hours, make 300 meals that refill your, health to max, and you can stop at any point in battle and just eat a sandwich.
Yep.
So, like, if you're quick on the draw, unless you get one shot, you're never going to die. You also have no limit on how many fairies you can hold that I know of. Like, I came across a couple of ponds that had like 4 or 5 fairies floating around. I'm sitting at like 10 fairies right now. I don't have to put them in jars. I'm just like, dunk. So I basically got 10 free lives, along with my 500 sandwiches. Like, not saying the game can't still be difficult every once in a while, but typically it's just because you're overpowered and you get it one shot. If you're reasonably decked out, you can take on just about any enemy just by brute force. So I don't know if that's good or bad, but it does trivialize combat a little bit, or at least lessen the engagement. I don't know.
Let's get off this negativity for a bit. I got something I want to say.
Okay, go for it.
Have you guys made anything interesting using Fuse? Like weapon or
Fuse,
like
or
what kind of weapons? What kind of not hand. Not Ultra Hand. It would be Fuse. Because have you guys made any weird weapons? Like, did you mix weapons yet?
I have, but I haven't experimented much with it.
Oh my god!
I wouldn't say I made anything overly weird.
I took a stick or a crappy sword, and I took a bokoblin arm, and I fused it, and it was automatically like 25.
Yeah.
It went from 1 to 25 like instantaneously, and I used that jerk, and it destroyed like constructs with it. Granted, it didn't last very long.
Yeah.
But you have like 4 of those things in your inventory, and you can pretty much just like destroy almost anything. It's pretty fantastic. Like the fuse feature is really, really weird. I say try using it with everything if you can. Like, I accidentally like fused a log with my shield.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oops. Like, they're strange. It's a strange mechanic to have, like, to fuse weapons together. Mess with it. It's kind of fun.
I accidentally, I intentionally put a dragon breath thing onto my sword, and like I went to swipe it twice and I killed myself like, immediately.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually found one from one of the constructs. They had like a staff.
It's probably smarter
the
to
end of
put
the
that
staff-
thing like on the shield. That way, whenever you hold your shield up, it blows outward.
Attaching
good
stuff to
idea,
the
too.
shield, I think it's been more interesting. Like I've attached like bombs to it and whatnot. If you do a flip with a bomb on your shield, it works as like this rocket jump. You land on the
Catapult.
bomb and it shoots you into the air. You
That's
can put
pretty awesome.
you can put a mine cart on your shield and turn it into a skateboard.
I've done that.
So there is some. The fuse system is really cool. I think I just get to the point where I'm like, do I want to deal with this? I don't know. It's this extra step that it slows me down a little bit. I understand the benefit
Yeah,
of
a
it.
little bit.
I mean, I get how, attaching a bokoblin horn onto my sword makes it like 20 power better, which I don't know. I think what's going to happen, just like with everything else, is I'm going to find the most efficient combination of something, and I'm just going to keep doing that over and over and over again.
Yep,
So
pretty much.
it's fun to mess with, and you can find some really fun creative things, but it's just like anything else with the combiney system. It's fun for a while, then you're going to realize what works best, and then that's all you're going to make, and then it's to become really dull.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Pretty
I almost feel like the fusion mechanic has, I don't know, made it less fun to get weapons, because I pick up a sword, I'm like, all right, this isn't going to be how the sword's going to stay. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm just going to shove a bokoblin horn on it. It's going to be whatever after that. So when I get a new special type of sword, it just doesn't have that much intrigue to me. I know that certain weapons have like extra bonuses on them and abilities, and maybe once I start kind of digging into that, it'll be a different system. But I don't know. It hasn't really caught my attention much.
I'm sorry, if you did mention this just now, I forgive me. The way you were saying how it.
Unforgiven.
The one thing that like the whole combining stuff, for weapons, it does kind of like. Did you say it ruins the intrigue? I was thinking it ruins the intrigue of like finding weapons now. Like now I'm not like
bit.
out looking for like special weapons because it's just like I can create what I want.
Like there could be some super awesome giant sword out there, like the Biggoron sword or something from like Ocarina, where that was like this big deal. If I found some big sword now, it's like whatever. I could have a bokoblin arm with a diamond shoved to the end of it, and it's probably more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
So
It just won't last as long. I think that's the difference. Because I'm noticing that the weapons that are fused together, they break so fast. They break quick. And that makes sense. And I get it.
It's true, but every weapon has a lifespan on it. So yeah, it might last longer. There's still going to come that day when it's just going to shatter. And then it doesn't matter if it was a special thing I found. It's just
gone.
Gonna
break. Yeah.
So that does make it less interesting for me that I'm finding some super powerful weapon, because every weapon is disposable in this game.
At least you're not hoarding. Now you're not hoarding weapons like you used to.
Yeah, I'm not, because I can fuse more. It does make it easier to get powerful weapons along the way. So I don't know. It's good and bad. I'm less excited about getting a new weapon now, but I found I have more powerful weapons when I need them.
I'm interested to see how it. I mean, obviously you'll get the Master Sword back eventually, so it's like, I mean, will it be interesting to still use the Master Sword, or are you still gonna just continue making? Because
I never used the Master Sword in Breath of the Wild. I used it to chop down trees because it could renew.
That's all I used was the Master Sword in the first one.
Well, it was never the most powerful thing. I always had more powerful weapons, so when it came to something, I'd use those. And the Master Sword I would use for other renewable stuff, like killing tiny little enemies or chopping down trees or whatever it was. So
you just walk around and just destroy things.
Yeah, maybe I'll use it a lot. I'm curious if you'll be able to fuse anything.
I was just gonna say,
I'm
the
assuming
Master Sword.
I don't think
that would
so.
make a lot of sense. So then I could almost guarantee you could make some far more powerful weapons beyond the Master Sword. And then what good is it really besides it doesn't break? Unless they really change the way it works in Breath of the Wild, which kind of doubt.
Unless they make it like the Fierce Deity one. You just kind of throw beams out there. That would be, to me, that would be worth it. But I don't know. If you could fuse something together that does the same thing, oh man, that'd be bad. I mean, there's already some really weird stuff like that. Weird construct fire dragon.
Yeah.
Like that thing's weird.
And I just want to reiterate, because I know I've come across real negative, I do really appreciate the building and fusing mechanics, and I think a lot of people are going to get so much enjoyment out of it. And I've seen some crazy stuff. Me and my kid are just watching like crazy builds that people have made. Or like, have you seen the video game Donkey mini view?
No, I didn't watch his video.
It's pretty funny. And it's because they have this kind of system now in their sandbox where you can just do these crazy things, and that's awesome. But as far as like this typical Zelda experience, I don't know. It's missing something still.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the experience is missing. It's still, again, Chaz, it's still a Zelda game. Just its own type of Zelda game. It's its own type of Zelda game. It's like the Ocarina stuff. Yeah.
Go ahead, I'm sorry, I'm cutting you off.
I was gonna say, like, you know, you have your Twilight Princess stuff, you know, that all that little couple of games that have that theme. You got the, you know, Phantom Hourglass and all that stuff, you know, like, but this is its own thing. Like, I mean, it's like taking the first one and doing everything with it.
I mean, that's in the same, you know, same area as like the CDI games. Those are Zelda games.
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
I mean,
they are.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
I'm just joking.
And I won't begrudge anybody who's giving this game a 10 out of 10. Like, I think this game deserves every amount of praise that it's getting. And I will tell you, I still am really enjoying the game. I think I'm going to enjoy the game all the way through. And I would rank it as a super high quality masterpiece level game. But is it my favorite Zelda? It's yet to be seen, and I'm a little less sure that it has the opportunity to be. Is
this your game of the year so far?
What have we played this year?
Redfall,
Snap.
Marvel
God of
Snap.
War, my game of the year. Was God of War this year?
Was it this year?
Was that last year? I think.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
know what game it's not
Rush.
going to be. Suicide Squad.
Oh.
I thought Redfall was going to be your game of the year.
Okay, before we shift off this, a couple other quick notes I wanted to make as of some little things. There are a lot of currencies in this game. Have you guys noticed that yet or dug into it?
Other than rupees, I don't think I have anything.
Currencies?
So when I say I mean, you may just not be this far yet, but you have rupees. Okay, you always have rupees. Poes end up being a currency down in the depths.
You know, I noticed they introduced the Poe in Pura's thing, and I was like, a Poe? I was like, what's going on here?
Yep. You have all the.
You probably have to go to Pura with that crap too, because she's the one that has that nonsense. Right?
I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you that because that's actually how you use them is actually pretty cool. But then you have like the Zoanite, which lead to the crystals, which leads to the energy cells. So that's this whole like currency chain. You have your charges you have to use. Like there's so many. Maybe resources is a better way of looking at it, but a lot of things like you use as an exchange. I feel there's a lot of resources / currencies in this game, and I'm like always trying to like collect and buy or exchange for something. You guys might be a little early on it, but there's a whole economy here. Yeah.
I've seen all the Zonite stuff. Like obviously you go through them, and then you're just like, there's a lot going on with these charges. There's more than just hey, I'm just gonna use this to get like a fan from a freaking vending machine.
Is
you know,
Pura,
like I forgot about that.
Is Pura the scientist lady?
That's the science girl. Yeah, She was in the last game too, by the way.
But she's like grown up or something, right?
Well, she's still messing with her age.
Yeah. Whole point. She's
she's all pretty and crazy.
I was gonna say I think a lot of weird weeaboos are gonna because the way they like introduce her, I'm like, I don't know. I'm getting tired.
All right, hold on. A couple more things. How do you guys like the basically gachapon dispensers with all the Zoanite
I
things?
forgot about those.
I thought those are fun. They're interesting.
Super cheesy. But, I mean, Zelda has to be
corny as hell. It's super corny.
I wish I had like a giant quarter I could just stick in it and turn a big.
Oh, dude. Yeah, using Ultra Hand.
I've only seen like 3 types of items that come out of it, so unless there's more.
They come with 4.
There's a lot more.
Oh, okay.
There's usually 4 that you can, but they're all scattered differently. So, like, if you don't have any, what is it? Those constructs like waiting for you, you can't use it.
Is that where you get the rockets?
You gotta open.
Yeah, you
gotta
get rockets
get one
from it. You'll come across different dispensers. Each dispenser gives out different items, and you can check on your map what gives what. So, I don't know. I don't have a big opinion about it. I just
picked up something called a time bomb. I thought that was interesting. I was like, huh. But of course, like anything else, they're finite, so you have to go and get it. You know, you just don't. No, you just come across them. No, you just gotta go to one of those things and just put a quarter in and get it out. You know, if you need it on a spot for a specific reason, then you're kind of assed out at that point. It's like, oops, I don't have any fans. Oh no, I guess I can't build that thing here today.
Yeah.
You know, like that's like the only thing. It's like you feel that the Zonite stuff does feel limited. You don't have as many, so it's very scarce, and you have to like that. If I was gonna hoard on anything, it'd probably be those stupid things, because you don't know when you're gonna need it.
Yeah.
At least like the fans and crap.
There is a workaround for that you'll get later on, where it's not as big of an issue, but you're right. I mean, you got to make sure you have some level of resources to always be able to put into your devices.
Yep.
That's probably all I really want to get into. There's a few other things, but I'm afraid they'll get too spoilery for everybody. Like, I did get to Eventide Isle again, but I'm not gonna talk about that until you guys have gotten there.
Cool.
So.
Well, I'm gonna keep playing it. Again, I'm enjoying the game like a hell of a lot.
Well, that's
really am.
Good
It's
thing
a fun game.
I mean, I'd
What's
like
up?
to think by next episode, for the most part, we'll possibly be able to talk about everything. I think so.
I don't know. I mean, it's a big game.
is
That's
big.
2 weeks that we usually do, so maybe.
I mean,
I will. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say I'm gonna try.
I'm curious how I would have felt about playing this game if I had played Breath of the Wild more recently. Like, I think it's helped me that I played it when it first came out and haven't played it in 6 years. But even then, it feels super familiar. Like, if you have just played a lot of Breath of the Wild and you're hopping into this, I don't know.
It's the second game. Like when I just beat it, and it felt with the new additions that they added to it. It just feels like the same. Like you've never got off the game at all. That's how it feels to me. Because
And not that the new content isn't good, but yeah, it's it's the game
thing.
Yeah, for better or for worse.
Yeah, like you know what I think also is just like I feel like you know, you look at the world map and you're like, oh man, are you sure it's not the same world map, just kind of broken up a little bit more? You know, like I don't think it is.
Well, it is.
But
No, I think it's the same map.
You
Well,
think
I
it's
think
the
what
same
they
map?
probably did. I don't believe that they redid the entire main Hyrule map. I think they probably had the map, and they probably
And then
then did a pass across the whole thing and tweaked
and
a
they
lot of
shifted-
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I
And
don't
then
think it's like
broke
they
it, brought some
scrapped the
up.
whole thing and remade it. I mean, I think they just went back across it and added and adjusted, which is fine. I don't have any issue with that.
I
think
mean,
it's
they
just
saved them a
weird.
lot of time.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll get off everything. I am enjoying the game. I do want to end on a positive note. It's definitely worth putting your time into, but it's still missing some stuff so far for me.
It's a solid game. It really is. Like, I want to break it. You just can't. You just can't. Like, I think the game will break me first. It's already done that a couple of times.
You're gonna
Over stupid stuff too.
Ivan Drago it.
Man, I mean, you go to shrines and it's like, hey, here's a free ball of light.
I'm gonna
It's
say
like, great, thanks.
one more thing. I am disappointed that the shrines returned almost in the exact same format.
I know.
I think we meant to kind of hit on that earlier. Like, I saw them pop up, and I'm like,
boy.
okay, the shrines are going to be a little different, right? They're going to be a little longer, a little something. Nope,
No.
they are the exact same.
Combat
thing I think they
section,
did better-
puzzle sections.
You got combat still.
The only thing I think they did better, unless I'm missing it, I do feel like the combat stuff is set on a progression. Like, you can't just jump into random combat challenges, because I feel like every time I've gotten to one, it's been like, okay, this is how you do this technique, this is how you do this one. So they've at least curated the order of those, but the shrines are the same. They're still super short. They, I think, are almost less engaging now just because of Ultra Hand. But I don't know. I won't revisit the topic, but shrines are not overly improved. If you liked them in the last game, you'll like them now. If you didn't like them in the last game, it's the same thing.
Yeah, I'm 100% on board with that one. Again, dungeons, more dungeons. That's more fun, long, complex, triple world dungeons. That's what I want to see.
I'm wondering, like, if the game does do that. I know we're trying to get off the
We'll
topic,
find out.
but
We'll find out.
like, how many curated dungeons would I be happy with to be like, okay, that was good? Like, just like two really good, awesome
Three,
dungeons,
maybe?
3. Like, is that enough? If all, like, I'm assuming all the main dungeons are probably going to be like the first one we talked about, but are there going to be some extra supplemental dungeons, like a final dungeon, that are what we're asking, and will that be enough? I don't know.
I wonder though, like if the very last one, like where Ganon is, I hope I don't just scale walls just to get to him. I hope they force you. They force you to walk through that stupid place, wherever it may be. Like if it's in the castle there, I hope they force you to go through that bad. Like
I'm worried it's going to be the castle again. Like I feel like that is really going to let me down. Like I know that a lot of Zelda games end in the castle. This one's going to feel worse because it's the exact same castle, right? Like other games, like the castle in Ocarina feels different than the castle in Twilight, feels different than the castle in whatever. If I have to fight Ganon again in the castle the same way, I'm going to be disappointed. I need to fight him somewhere else.
You'll find him as a scorpion-looking, centipede-looking creature.
Yeah, something.
Jeez. Oops! Spoiler alert. You mean 7 years ago? Get out of here.
All right, I'm done. I promise.
All right.
Alrighty. Well, yeah.
Falling asleep.
Yeah. No, I'm not. I'm wide awake.
You're gonna play Zelda after this, right?
You're the one that drank coffee.
I probably am.
The coffee did not help. But yeah, that kind of wraps up our very early thoughts. Like I said, I'd like to think by next episode we'll have a lot more, and I don't know, we'll be able to talk.
If you actually finished a dungeon by then.
I'll have one.
Yeah, really.
I have one of them done by then, I'm sure.
Well, now don't even bother with the Rito one. Go do a different one, so maybe you'll have some new content to talk about next time.
I don't know.
Agreed.
I do what I want.
I'll check out the one. I'll check out the depth, just to see what it's all about. The caverns.
No. So, other than that, what do we have going for next episode? What do you guys got going?
More Zelda.
I still haven't been able to watch Guardians. I've been wanting to watch that.
What's that? Just kidding.
I'm gonna try to watch Guardians hopefully pretty soon. Actually, let me think about this real quick.
Doesn't Spider-Man come out too? Spider-Man comes out before the next episode.
I will be in town. I was gonna say I'm gonna be out of town early next month, but it looks like I'll be here for
right. Spider-Man, is that this month or next month?
Next month.
Okay. Oh, we got time.
That's when Snap changes over.
Of course, you keep on top of that.
Of course. I still play a little bit of Snap. I got Galactus. I know we didn't have our Snap back, but I finally got Galactus.
And then
I'm in the
by next episode, that would be here. Okay, so the new Diablo will be 3-4 days out by next episode.
Yeah, I guess that's gonna become. Man, my wife is gonna have a lot to say about that. So I'll relay her thoughts. So
we'll have to see about getting her on here. I wanted to see about Kevin joining us for this. Maybe we can see about.
He's been. Oh wait, he hasn't been playing. He's been playing Smash Brothers Ultimate.
I saw that.
What a loser!
I'm so old and boring now.
I know. No one cares about that. Man, all my friends are playing Tears of the Kingdom right now, except for Kevin. It's so sad.
We
love him though.
All right, guys.
All right, everyone. Well, yeah, like I said on screen, there's locations for the audio podcast locations. Once again, hit us up in the socials. Let us know. Do you agree, disagree? We'd love to hear your opinions on Zelda. I almost said Breath of the Wild.
It might as well be.
It might as well be. Yeah. All righty. Well, you guys got anything to say before we head on out?
Nope. Bye.
Bye. Zelda time.
Bye, everybody. Night-night.